Hi, this is Steve Wallace, working on Module 14 in EDL 850 School Law, and this is a case study. This case study was called Threats Over the World Wide Web. It's about a second-year teacher in a wealthy school district who, over a holiday weekend, was sent an email that was bad-mouthing her and threatening her life. She was not really a well-liked teacher at the time. She immediately notified the well-respected principal, who looked at the threatening information and decided that they would handle it internally in the next school day. That's the basic concept of it. So what do we know? Slattery-Steno High School is a wealthy demographic. Doctors, lawyers, those types of kids are in this. Dr. Harvey Smith is an award-winning, well-respected principal. Robin Tate is a second-year science teacher who takes her class very seriously, is well-structured, and a rigorous teacher. She's not well-liked by parents or teachers, and they have struggled in her class. The principals had to deal with many phone calls, many meetings with parents and teachers about her class and how it is structured and how they don't feel like they're getting what they need within the classroom. Miss Tate received an email on a holiday weekend where she was taken to a social media site that badmouthed her and threatened her. It was actually, do you want her to disappear, was the threatening words. This gave her a lot of anxiety. She was very worried. She called her principal immediately. Dr. Smith, after looking at she forwarded him the email with the link. He looked at it and he thought it was a prank. He just asked her if there was any students that she thought might be involved that were mad at her. She gave the name of William Hall as a possible student that was involved. And the principal decided that he would handle it internally the next day. What do you need to know? I need to know what are the school policies in situations like this. What is the law in this situation? Should the police have been called? I think that they should have been called. Any students or parents have a history of using the internet or social media to bash or talk bad or threaten other teachers. What strategies have Miss Tate tried? Why haven't they worked? So the principal has done some things to try to make her classroom a better place for students, and it hasn't worked so far, so why not? What other things could be done? What other sports does Miss Tate have? Do they have an instructional coach in the school? Is there a mentor or anything like that that could be used? Identifying the problem in this situation. There are many layers to this problem. The main focus is the fact that Miss Tate's life was threatened via social media. Underlying factors is the principal is well respected and Miss Tate is not. So there might be some disconnect there. Miss Tate has rigorous courses that challenge students. Students that are trying to be valedictorian are not getting the grades they're used to getting, and that does not make parents happy. The principal does not take this threat very seriously. It sees it as a prank, so no police are involved. And there was a random student accused of this act, even though there's no evidence that the student may be involved. My plan for action. Step one is call the police and file a report. At the minimum, I'd talk to the SRO, school resource officer, and take his advice on the situation. Is this a report-worthy situation? Pretty much. Let my superiors know the situation, take their advice, call the superintendent, assistant superintendent, whatever the chain of command is, maybe multiple people to let them know what was going on and get their take on the situation. Go ahead and allow the tech department to track the email, which was what the principal had said that he might do the next day, and go ahead and get that ball rolling. Interview students in Miss Tate's class. Interviewing all of them would probably not work, but interviewing just the one that she accused obviously would not be acceptable and probably not the best direction to go, because again, it was just a theory, there was no evidence, so it would be good to check with a handful of students in each class at least. Allow Miss Tate to take some time off. Don't make her go in the classroom the next day not knowing who made the threats or what exactly was going on. Allow her time, if she chooses, to be with the school psychologist or counselor to talk about her worries about the situation. Continue to give Miss Tate some supports and strategies in the classroom on working with students. Her relationship with students obviously has been a struggle for her. I would also stop in her classroom consistently to make sure she was doing okay. Also, as a way to give her some constructive criticism on things that she might be able to handle differently. I would also look to give Miss Tate a mentor in the school, someone that she respects, someone that there would be time set aside that she can meet with regularly to help her improve as a teacher, and also give her somebody that's a sounding board. And then I would educate students on the proper use of social media and the internet, because obviously there's been a disconnect there, and there needs to be some reminders. And educate staff on how to handle these types of situations if it ever comes up for them on the next PD day. Appropriate strategies for implementation. Strategies that could be used for implementation are: immediately call the SRO or police to submit a report. Call the superintendent and others that need to know. Begin the tech tracking of the email. Immediately meet with Miss Tate. Immediately meet with students. Begin the education program on social media. And it wouldn't be a one-time thing. I think I would make this a series that we did some short things on how to properly use social media and the internet. And then plan for info for staff on the next PD day. So there were several issues here. We're going to focus on 3 issues. Miss Tate's life was threatened via social media and was made aware of it via email. Promoting success and well-being of all students. Police are notified and Miss Tate is met with immediately, and also given time off and access to meet with school personnel, whether that was teaching strategy or the psychologist or counselor. And how this is promoting success to students is teachers are key. So if teachers aren't feeling like they are supported, they don't feel safe, then they are not going to give kids the best education possible. So by supporting the teacher in this case, in the long run, that is going to promote the success of all students. Miss Tate's students and parents are frustrated with her teaching style. So in this situation, we're giving her supports to improve her teaching, different strategies, a mentor, and class evals that will hopefully help her learn how to build better relationships and connect with her students better, while not giving up that rigor in her classroom and that structure that she wants. Just some tips and some things that could help build relationships better, which again will help students improve and feel comfortable in her class. Students are not using the internet and social media in a positive and productive ways is another issue. By installing extra educational series about how to properly use the internet, we're promoting the success and well-being of students. Obviously, social media is a big thing in these kids' lives, and they need to understand how to positively use it instead of using it in negative ways. And again, this would probably be a series that I would do over a lot of schools have a study hall time where they could have students go through a short program during that part of that time to learn how to internet safety, how the right way to use social media and those types of things are. Okay, so this is a debrief of the problem, reflecting on what you were thinking, feeling, valuing, and identify issues that are unresolved or open for further discussion. So what was I thinking? I felt like this was a rich kid mentality. Yeah, class is tough. I'm going to go on social media and say these things, and I'm not going to get in trouble. Principal worried about reputation. He didn't want to call the police right away. He didn't want to do anything too quickly. He wanted to make sure that his reputation was going to be intact. And number 3, teacher that needs to adjust while not giving up rigor. So this teacher obviously wants the students to, wants to give them a tough class where they really have to think, and we don't want to give that up, but she does need to figure out how to build better relationships with parents and students. How was I feeling? I was feeling concerned about Miss Tate's safety. She was obviously very concerned about it and worried, and want to make sure that she's okay. I was irritated that principal didn't take more immediate action, and again, I think that was because he was more worried about what parents would say and his reputation than what was probably the right thing to do. I was feeling exhausted, misuse of social media. I think, being around high school kids for many years now, I see how negative of an impact that it can have if not used in the right way. What do I value? I value the importance of educating students on social media and internet, because that's what we can do to help solve the problem of kids using it negatively. I value hiring the right staff, and hopefully this teacher can adjust and become a better teacher, because having the right teachers is going to make your school the best it can be. Teachers is what makes education. It's not the curriculum or things like that. It's like I always tell people, in college, I'm a social studies guy. I couldn't wait to take a Kansas history class. Teacher was terrible. We talked about dirt for a month. I hated math. Took Math 105. One of the funniest, most engaging teachers I ever had. Did great in a math class. It's about the teachers, so you got to hire the right ones. Valuing parents and students that like challenges and show grit. Instead of immediately complaining and pointing the finger, I like parents and teachers that try to figure it out. There's different teaching styles. There's different ways of learning. You're not going to have the same. It's not going to always be easy, and you're going to have to adjust to certain teachers and certain classes. So I like parents and kids that are willing to do that. Unresolved are things that are open for further discussion. Is Miss Tate safe? We don't know based on this scenario. Will the principal involve the police? So far he hadn't. Does the school have a policy? That was never mentioned. Are the students safe? If there's really a safety issue here and somebody's looking to hurt a teacher, or is everybody safe? What will be the consequences for the students that were involved in this post? And will the principal be given advice on how to handle the situation in the future from his superintendent, assistant superintendent, and people like that? Category 5, we're just providing examples of how the leader at the building level applies knowledge that promotes success of every student with integrity, fairness, and ethical manner. So component 1 is apply knowledge that promotes success of every student by acting with integrity. I would immediately call the police to protect not only the teacher but students from violence. I would give the teacher further training on all teachers on how to handle situations like this, further training on how to better develop relationships in the classroom while giving rigor, as well as giving that teacher an opportunity to meet with counselors, psychologists. The better the teacher, the better the class, which I already mentioned. And I interview more than one student. I wouldn't just point the finger and immediately go after one student. Acting with fairness, talk with more than one student, not just point the finger right away. Provide the teacher with time off and access to the resources, counselor, psychologist, and educate all students on social media and internet. And finally, Success of every student in an ethical manner. Involve the police, educate student staff, and work with superiors. Thanks for watching my